What is the secret to a good relationship? And I'm going to give you a counterintuitive answer to that, because we've all sort of cultural answers we trot out there with boring regularity, and I'm going to kind of spin it a little bit. And it comes back to this beautiful line said several times in the Bible, which is says the lines of marriage. What God has joined together, let not man or a person put asunder. In other words, what God has yoked together is the actual translation, actually the way the word should be, yoked together, let no one unyoke them. And it's the idea that we get yoked together. And I love that perspective. Yoked together means that we join together shoulder to shoulder moving forward, and that's what really successful relationships do. And I think obviously it gets used in the context of marriage, which is very appropriate, and it should, and it is used in many other contexts as well. And that's not to say that all marriages last or work. They don't. But it's this idea of if as we're in our relationships, be that marriage or otherwise, how can we have the greatest chance of success? And again, sometimes it'll work, sometimes it won't. But how is it that we have the greatest chance of success? And this is where Christian New Church theology offers a really interesting perspective. I think it's a little startling, and I think probably you'll hear and go like, "Oh yeah, that's true." And it's this basic idea that within the marriage relationship, there's a trine. And think of this I think really within any relationship where we're very close with other people, and that's love, wisdom, and service. So think love, wisdom, service, love, wisdom, service. Think of that as a triangle. So there's what we love, and then out of what we love grows a wisdom around it. You think about somebody who loves building homes, right? And then they work at that craft, and they develop this deep wisdom in terms of how to do that. And then that all gets focused towards the project of the actual building. And that's just a simple example of how this works. So the way I oftentimes explain it to young couples, and I even have them do these hand gestures, is they're what we fight about. There's what we fight for. What we're fighting for is that service piece where love and wisdom comes together in service. So couples also, just like the builder who loves building homes, who has got a lot of knowledge about it, builds homes, a couple who has a lot of love will develop a lot of wisdom as well, and that they will point that out there into service into the world. Now, that service may, for a lot of young couples, it may include raising children. It may include a beloved charity, SPCA. Number of couples that just comes to mind because they really love the idea of animal welfare. It may come to mind in terms of a foundation that they want to eventually create, as a way to sort of pass on gifts to others. And there's countless ways this looks, folks. But it's the point of it's this is if you find your relationship stuck, in a way, relationships can get stuck, not all the time, but I don't want to say it too unequivocally here, but sometimes relationship gets stuck because we're thinking too much about the relationship. We're working so hard at the relationship that we're work at relate. That isn't always necessarily the answer. I mean, some of the time it is, obviously, but it's a little like trying to go to sleep and somebody tells you, well, just try to sleep harder. That just doesn't seem to work. And instead, it's where we can step back, shift our perspective over into something different, see the world in different ways, and then move forward from that new place. And that's where I think love, wisdom, and useful service come together. One way, if your marriage is sort of like stuck right now, or you're feeling like, I just want to get a little more pizzazz to it, absolutely plan a fun date night, make dinner for her or for him, whatever works for you that way. And I would also say, I'd also pick a service trip together. I would pick something you want to do together that way. And with New Church Live, you can always get on to St. Francis Inn with us. We have one married couple who actually found each other of sorts, going to St. Francis Inn was one of their first close encounters with each other, which was sort of fun. And what a great thing that is. And it's just figuring that out, folks, because once we do that, we just don't have the time for the other stuff. We don't have time for drama. We don't have time. Again, you're angry at your husband about socks, or you're angry about your wife about some comment she made. You're angry about that. I guarantee you go down to St. Francis Inn or Ronald McDonald House, any of those other places, your complaints will feel about this important when you go down there. It's sort of this instant right sizing of all things that are challenging in life. So that's the thought, folks. Again, think through love, wisdom, and use, and that's what being yoked together is. It's yoked together were draft animals. I mean, they were animals that were to pull things so that the fields got plowed. And a great quote I love is plow the field and leave the rest to grace. And I that's what we do. Keep moving forward. Remember what we fight about, what we fight for. Keep on coming back to what you're fighting for. So that's the thought for today, friends. Hope that makes sense. I will not be answering comments, by the way, live. I will be answering them in script form. So feel free to leave the comments. And again, I'll be responding later on today. So with that, friends, what we're going to do now is we're going to shift into our meditation. For those of you joining us the first time, what we're going to do is I'm going to ask you all to take a big breath. After we take a big breath, I'm going to ring a prayer bell. Prayer bell, the point is to listen to it until the tone stops, just to clear your mind. Then we do a little meditation, little prayer, little blessing, and that's how we'll close it. We'll close it all. All right, friends. So with that, I'd ask us all to get a big breath. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am. Be still and know that I. Be still and know that. Be still and know. Be still and. Be still. Be. Our Father, who art in the heavens, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, as in heaven, so upon the earth. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we also forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you, bring you peace, and bring you home. Amen. All right, friends, have a great rest of your week. God bless.